Hey everybody, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for Patch Notes 5.6.
56.
And, yeah, 56. Joining me, of course, is bonus content, also known as Ka. How you doing?
Goddamn cow.
Goddamn Ka!
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I am indeed okay. Happy Easter. No thanks, YouTube. All right. That was an email. Patch 5.6. What we do in the patch is we talk about the patch. Nailed it. So, to talk about the patch, we must talk about the patch. God, this is knowledge dropping right now. It's crazy. Starting things off, champion changes are first. We're going to go ahead and talk about Aatrox. Aatrox on his ultimate, which is, of course, his Massacre, now grants 20% of maximum blood well for every enemy you hit. For each enemy you hit. Yeah.
Next champion.
Yep, pretty much. I actually think this will help him a little bit, but he still is Aatrox.
Not good.
He's just not in a perfect spot right now. I don't think he's necessarily bad, just not in a great spot. So.
Well, just the meta doesn't really work with him. The people that you go up against top lane can kind of abuse him a little bit. So
tiny bit.
He was good when it was like Jax.
I think he actually still does okay in the jungle, but nobody's been playing him.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Other than that, next is Amumu. Amumu's Despair. Bug fix on that would not toggle off when Amumu ran out of mana, which is kind of an awkward situation for Amumu.
Yeah. Good that they're fixing bugs that shouldn't be in the game in the first place.
Agreed. Astute. Next is actually Annie. Now, Tibbers, his aura base damage around him is now going to scale with Annie's ult level. So instead of being 35 damage at all ranks, it's going to be lower for the first 2 ranks and then more later. I think this makes a little bit of sense. Annie is a strong pick, and the aura damage is decently strong. So I can see why they're actually nerfing this. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. I kind of like that it actually does scale, but, you know, it's what it is.
Yeah, good change. Obviously, it's going to be stronger late, but Annie right now is a, pick or ban every game, or at least most games she should be, because she's very easy to carry with.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is going to damage that.
Slightly larger effect for the bot lane, because she's bringing a bit too much damage down there. It's probably the other main reason why we're seeing this.
Well, just the immediate burst and the AoE CC that it brings, and that hasn't changed. So I don't feel like that's in prolonged fights against a tankier support like a Leona or an Alistar, yes, but against a Sona or someone that you can just pop anyway, pop immediately, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a huge issue, just quality change for everybody.
Brad fixes?
We're getting some Bard changes. Bard right now has a terrible win-loss ratio. It's due to multiple things. People don't know how to play him. People don't know how to play him right. People leave lane too much. He also does absolutely no damage at all on a team in any way, shape, or form. So
At all.
So what happens with Bard typically is he runs into a fight, he throws a Q, and he goes, "All right, guys, I'll see you later." And he goes on a journey.
Yep.
Thanks for playing Bard. I don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make fun of Bard. I think he's actually incredibly fun to play. He's just not utilized perfectly. So the changes we're seeing right now are a few things. So first off, whatever general recommended items have been updated. Cool. Cosmic Binding. More damage in all ranks, including later on as it goes up. And they removed some issues where it was binding people to weird things like dark orbs or gates or wards or Demacian standard, just a bunch of collision crap. Yeah.
He's been out for half a patch and they had to change the suggested items.
I don't think they had them suggested.
Why?
That's Freak's fault. Thanks, Freak.
That's not Freak's fault. That's isn't that Morello's fault?
I don't know whose fault. I actually think it is probably Freak's fault.
Is Morello?
Probably is Freak's fault.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it's not. Anyways, yes, I agree, but I do remember when I did play him a few times, I saw the recommended items, and I did look at them, and I was like, what are these? I pretty much ignored most of them. I didn't like them, personally. So Cosmic Binding getting a little bit more damage, which I guess will be nice, whatever. It's still his only damaging ability. And then Magical Journey's getting a massive cooldown reduction, especially early on. 26 seconds is a very long time. 20 seconds is a little bit better. Click on Magical Journey Portal is now more forgiving, probably a little helpful. I know a lot of people are like, how do you click on it? I'm like, you just click the terrain where it starts, like in the terrain, and I didn't have a problem, but better for people. Allies that go on the journey will grant Bard an assist on their kills for a short time afterwards, so obviously that makes sense. He's assisting them. Magical equality clones, such as created by Shaco, LeBlanc, Ward, or Yorick, can now be commanded to take the journey as well. So just little things that probably needed in there that they probably didn't think about, or more.
You can get a little tricky with it, like pop Shaco clone or LeBlanc clone, and command your clone to go in there, and then they'll follow it thinking it's the real one.
That'd be really funny. I wanted to see that. I want to see that play.
It's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen.
I do want to see that. And then on his ultimate, on the Fate, neutral monsters will no longer have their health reset while under stasis. So makes
not that big of a deal.
Makes some sense in case it wasn't a problem for certain buffs, but.
So, opinions of, do you think this is going to change at all?
So these changes to Bard are not going to make his win rate skyrocket. I think over time people learning him will obviously help that, but overall, if you're not a really amazing Bard/support player, I don't think you should be playing him.
I would honestly be surprised if Bard's win rate doesn't go up until he's played in the LCS. And I don't think he's LCS playable for a couple more buffs.
I think it's going to depend completely on team comp. He doesn't fit a lot of team
to the average
comps.
person.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, because obviously the pros know what they're doing.
Yes.
Like, that's why they make the monies. So if there's a way to fit him into the meta, they will find it, and they'll do that. But until that happens, I don't think that he'll have higher than a 35% win rate and, like, bronze to plat.
Yes,
or even diamond.
Yes, I agree. All the way up to mid to late diamond, I don't think Bard's going to have much of a
high diamond.
Yeah, he's going to have an incredibly low win rate. He's just that kind of champion, I think. The one thing I think that could fix him, I don't know if I said this in a different thing or if I've just been talking to people, I think is heal. I don't know if this would be too much power, but his heal should be able to be put down in the middle of a team fight where it can deal damage to an enemy and or slow them. Just to help round out your ability to do something else. Because in a team fight, if you start with your ult to catch up to them, because you can use it as a great gap closer, if you use it as a gap close and you're in the middle of a lane, Magical Journey doesn't make any sense to use it. You literally have one Q to throw, and then you're pretty much done. He doesn't do anything. That's why any other support right now is pretty much a better pick than Bard. And we're in a team fight meta right now, so tanks and team fighting and living and surviving and being able to do consistent something. Braum, Leona, Thresh, all of these champions do really well in those slots. Bard doesn't fit right now, so he just doesn't work. Therefore, he loses a lot.
What would you think about if the heal, if it's picked up before it's fully cooked, does since it's like half heal or whatever it is, does half heal in an AoE, so you could like put it in the middle of a team fight and heal your person, and it'll heal in an AoE.
Even that would be good. If you can
get 2 or 3 people in the heal, then he has way more usefulness. But like it's not that burst heal like when they're fully cooked. So it's kind of like you can choose whether or not to have them. Because it's a fairly long cooldown still. It's like 9 seconds, isn't it?
It's really expensive on the mana too. It's like 100 at
so it's like
base level.
I think if they did that, like that would be pretty hard to code though. I don't know.
I don't know if it'd be hard to code. They can do anything.
You'd think that they can do anything, but we are playing League of Legends.
I know. I hear you. I do hear you. I think yes. Here's why I think that would be good. Because I think anything positively affecting any of his abilities right now would be good. He just needs something.
Well, they also nerfed his Q. Because you could use it, you could stun people off of black orbs and shit.
Yeah.
So like now it doesn't do that. It's not a big nerf, but like it's still just another thing that can go wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's things that I don't think were intended for that. And
yeah.
I do see what you are saying though. So, yeah, like they said, they're slowly gonna bring him up. They don't want to do it too fast, and I'm okay with that. But my suggestion for now is, if you're gonna play Braum, like I'm not saying he can't do anything. By no means, he can do some really nice things like stopping teams and doing certain things and gap closing for the teams and delaying things with his ult. That works really, really well, but it's just not consistent and it's very tough. almost anybody else is a good pick right now over him. So that's all I'll say.
I agree.
Next, we have Cassiopeia. Late game cast nerf. Dragon Buff and Death Cap now interact additively rather than multiplicatively when these two ability power percentage modifications and masteries interact with her passive. They now give roughly 12% less bonus ability power at late game. If you don't know the difference between if you don't know the difference between additively and multiplicatively, there's sites that explain it, and I don't really feel like explaining it now. But anyways, it's a bug fix.
Well, isn't it just like AP plus ratio, or like times ratio plus AP times ratio, or else AP plus ratio times AP? Is like it's you're multiplying instead of adding or like the AP.
Yes, more or less, yes.
And normally 90% of the time when you multiply numbers, they get bigger than when you add them together.
That's
basically
that's
just
what
a
people
very
say.
dumb way to put.
Yes.
That's what people say.
Well, there's that, like that's what tenacity does in the game too. Is it gets it? Yeah. I'm just gonna glaze over. I covered this in a different video a long time ago. Anyways, next is Elise. In base in general, base movement speed in human form is being decreased by 5, but base movement speed in spider form is being increased by 10. Honestly, makes sense to me. Spiders are fast. And then Repel, Elise can now right-click while in the air to descend on a target in addition to pressing E again. And Cocoon, missile speed is up 150, which will let it hit targets a little bit quicker.
Did you know that they wanted her to be one of the counter-jungling, what is it, Stalker's Blade? Not Stalker's Blade.
The one that
The Poacher's Knife?
Really?
They wanted her to be a counter-jungler, and
I can kind of see how that works.
There's just so much wrong. Like, they just nerfed her so hard that she has, like, no use right now, and this does not help.
She was, like, the highest played jungler all last year.
Yeah, and then they nerfed her into cooldown reduction to Elise, and then they nerfed that. So basically, she's nothing.
I wish they would have. I wish her state of cooldown reduction at least was around, because that would fit current meta really well too, and I think we'd see her played. I think these changes help a little, but these aren't impactful enough to really do too much, I think.
Oh, the damage isn't touched.
Yeah, exactly. So
and cooldown on combat effectiveness isn't touched.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not a huge
change.
Yeah. Eve is next, also known as Evelyn. On her passive, her Shadow Walk. Entering it now scales downward when you level up. So instead of being 6 seconds at all ranks, it'll scale down to 3 seconds once you hit level 16. I do kind of like this change. Kind of cool. It also makes her more stealthy in those late game fights, popping in and out. And then her Dark Frenzy, they removed spell hits no longer passively grant stacking movement speed, but they've added spell hits now lower Dark Frenzy's cooldown by 1 second, so you can spam it more.
If you land your Q, which is pretty hard. Or like if you have someone to Q.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a good change.
Yeah, I like it. I hope to play her maybe a little bit more with some of the changes we saw recently to help the jungle. I think that'll help her out, because she was, as I said, and made some people mad, she was not amazing at the start of this season, but little changes have helped bring her back.
Well, you also have more jungle changes coming up in this patch. That's called foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, folks. You heard it here first. Galio is getting a change. His Righteous Gust. Cooldown. A little bit longer, actually, at the first rank, but then it's actually going to scale down as you put points into it. Small change. Not a game changer for Galio, probably.
Galio struggles from AD mid laners and the fact that he's melee. So,
yes.
Like, he's really, really good against AP, but all those champions are ranged, and he's really good against, or he's really bad against AD, and all those champions are melee. So if they could, like, find a way to, like, lower his goodness against AP and raise his goodness against AD, they could be a little bit more viable. But
I just think he's only viable on, like, where the enemy team goes full AP comp. And
yeah,
that actually kind of is coming up now, because we're seeing Liss in top, we're seeing Kennen in top, we're seeing Rumble and Vlad in top, and Maokai, and we're seeing tank junglers who do a lot of AP damage.
Sejuani, Zed,
Nautilus, Zac.
Nautilus is even being played sport now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I don't want to say we could see a return to him, but if you're seeing somebody go, an enemy team go full AP comp, honestly, I think he's a good pick. I'm gonna say good because he won't take damage from any of them except for the ADC.
Yeah.
So
correct.
I think he actually works in that comp. Obviously, if you go against full AD comp, I don't think he's a good pick. I think he just dies. So, but if they stack AP, just
He's definitely a last pick trump card kind of a thing.
Yes.
Like if you're last pick and you see 4 AP on the other team and 80 carry,
do it.
Still probably pretty good.
And he does good damage. It's not like he doesn't do damage. He just runs into other problems when he runs into AD comps.
And it's skill shot based, and it's like not. Or I guess it's like explosion based, and it takes time for travel, so it's very easy to dodge Qs, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
it's not the
that's
hardest.
just me.
I think good players will be good with him, obviously, and if you're not seasoned with him, it's not as easy. So, next is Irelia. She's getting a nerf to her Equilibrium Strike, mostly on the late game damage on it. Honestly, in the current state of things, she's been fine for a while, in my opinion. So, and because of the trivia, she hasn't been nerfed in 3 years, and which I honestly. Like, the better nerf Irelia thing, I've never understood the saying. Of course, I've partaken
It was like
in
4 straight patches, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was 3 years ago, and they nerfed her, like, twice or something. Yeah.
And there was someone else that was just like, the reason that came about is because there was someone else that was like so drastically overpowered in that lane.
I agree.
And they still nerfed Irelia over this other
That's
person.
what
And
caused
so that's
it.
where the joke came from.
But how did it carry on for 3 years when she never got touched?
Because people love Irelia and they're salty as fuck.
You know what it should be? Better fix Azir, who isn't actually in this patch for the first time in 11
Kassadin.
in 11 patches. Is the first time Azir hasn't shown up.
I think he's actually in an okay spot.
I think he's in a fine spot too. About time. It only took 12
But I don't think this change is really warranted. If that makes sense.
No, what do you mean?
Like, I don't think this change. Aurelia didn't deserve a nerf. Like, she's a good top laner, yes. She does a lot, yes. But she doesn't have, like, the team fighting effectiveness of, like, the Tree or Lysandra.
She has a different team fighting effectiveness, though.
Or Kennen. But, like, she doesn't control the fight. She's a diver.
Yeah, I agree.
So I feel like there's. Like, why are they nerfing this when team fighting is like the way to go right now?
Because solo queue. My only counter to your argument, and I do totally see what you're saying, is I don't think this will hardly affect her.
I don't think it will either.
That's my only counter. So.
But like now not you max E second, and now I don't know if I'd max E second. I think you might act max Q second, or it's not probably still.
And it comes down. I think I've seen a lot of people max all types of different stuff actually on her.
Yeah.
She actually has choice on her kit a little bit,
which is nice and refreshing.
Surprising. Next we have Katarina. Health per level going to be increased by 3. Base health reduced by 50. Obviously that helps get made up for a little bit as the game goes on. Base health regeneration actually being decreased. So
basically now Katarina can be pushed out of lane immediately, and so 1 through 6 is going to be even harder.
It will be even harder, but it's because she snowballs. Most Katarinas, especially when I play Katarina, I do boots and pots. So I mean, I go to lane with 4 pots. I have survivability. I don't
know if you've seen the upcoming changes or like proposed changes for Kat.
I did see some of them. I do not.
But it's getting pretty ridiculous.
They're bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I actually don't think she's in a bad spot. Like, if you save one piece of CC for her and she doesn't come in after the fight has already been going on,
yeah,
like,
she's fine.
It's fine.
It's
but like when she does that, it's a problem.
Your argument is did the enemy team just fight everybody else on your team? Oh, did Karthus just ult? Like, I mean, like, where's the consistency for who's going to clean up? Like, Karthus can do the same thing. His ultimate does do over 1,000 damage to every player. That's 5,000 damage in the matter of 3 seconds. I mean, it's like stupid. So, speaking of Karthus, he's next. This is one of my favorite changes on this patch. His basic attack frame is improved. It was so bad. I've been playing him a lot recently. Thanks, Xiao Xiao. and it's just terror bad. You literally cannot farm with it. It is so bad. So bad.
Yeah. I don't play Karthus, but I know what you're talking about, and yes, it's
So
going to be very nice.
yeah. Next we have LeBlanc. On her ultimate Mimic, all ability power ratios for the increased damage on all of her other abilities for it are being reduced by either 0.05 or 0.075. It's not a huge amount, but
It's
it is
not
a
a huge
nerf.
amount.
So it's to just bring her down a little bit. I think they're trying to be careful because she has, not in the really recent past, but in the not so long past, has seen a few nerfs.
I feel like LeBlanc still is way too strong. Like LeBlanc should be a champion where you can use a W and you hit all of your spells and then you kill someone. But right now she's in a place where you can use a W and then you can miss a chain and double Q someone and kill them.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit, but I do see what you're saying. She's got
Or
some
like,
damage.
you get what I'm saying though.
I know,
Like,
I
it's
know, I
just,
get it. She shouldn't. It's a little too
should be a
forgiving.
skill-based combo hit champion, like to kill the other mid laner, the other AD carry, but like you shouldn't be able to zero out tanks, and you shouldn't
Or
be
she
able to
doesn't.
kill someone without hitting a chain.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think they could nerf her ultimate by like 5 seconds. It's up a lot.
I think they could nerf W because you can just double distortion team fights and like half-life everyone.
They did nerf that not too long ago, I thought. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, she's still in an interesting spot. So small nerf, we'll see how it affects her, but shouldn't be enormous. Next we have the Lux. Bug fixed where triggering Illumination with Final Spark didn't add Illumination's AP ratio to its detonation. So that's a good fix.
Still struggle.
Yep. Nidary. Okay, so they basically say here that we know that Nidalee is one of the most complained about champions, but because the meta is shifting back to tanks and she struggles with hard engaging on targets like that, they're going to leave her alone for now and see what this does with this meta shift. I do actually understand what they're saying here, but I still am not sure how I feel about it. Because she definitely has some brokenness to her in a few areas. I hope if this meta sticks around for a bit that she isn't played, because I don't think she will be, but I don't think it's going to stick around like that, and people are going to be playing her, and it's still going to work against everybody else because people are dumb. Did I nail it? I think I nailed it.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
She
I
just needs
just-
some small tweaks, and I think that would fix a few things.
Nidalee is the only champion in the game that has no weak part of the game. And what I mean by that is you have really aggressive junglers like Lee Sin, Jarvan, who are really good at the beginning, fall off at late. You have really tank junglers like Sejuani and Nautilus, who are really bad at the beginning, but really good late. And
Yeah.
Nidalee is really good early, and she's really good late, and she's really good mid game, and she
might have the most disturbingly good level 2 in the game.
yeah, she has a good level 2. She has good jungle clear.
Yeah,
She has good ganking ability
yeah.
if you're not bad.
The
with
only
her.
thing she technically doesn't have is CC.
Yeah.
But she
But
has
she
so
doesn't
much
need it,
gap
'cause she has a
close.
2-second
yeah.
jump.
Besides that, her gap close is insane. I think small nerfs could be made to Nidalee to fix her.
They could just like double the amount of time that it takes to pounce, and I'd be fine with the champion.
Either that or take off like 300 range on the stupid increased one. Like, it's insane how far she goes flying across the map when she pounces.
It's like double a rift walk.
Yeah, it's insane. And she can do it pretty much, not back to back, but like she can do it
Yeah.
a lot. So it's pretty insane. Next is Nocturne. It's actually Ultimate's going to be getting a cooldown reduction at earlier ranks. A little quality of change. Nocturne's actually probably in a decent spot now with the jungle changes. He was never in really a bad spot, just not really playable. Just not like, you wouldn't really pick him. This helps him a little bit. Cooldown reduction always helps. His ultimate's a main ganking tool.
In my opinion, he was just a poor version of Vi.
Yeah, kinda.
Because like when you hit level 6, you have that immediate gank pressure, but like
I
you
think
don't lock anybody down, and you can do it a little bit farther.
I think he tanks better than Vi.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
if you could do the tank route for both of those champions, I think he tanks slightly better. But she's
I
got
don't
way
know.
more CC
And she has a shield too.
yeah. He's got
And
he
Nocturne.
can block his spell.
Yeah.
I know. It saves his life
Oh,
sometimes. So
oh my gosh.
Quinn,
This next thing is gonna give me just
anal
some,
fissures,
yes. I'm gonna have, what is those things called? Hemorrhoids?
hemorrhoids.
Yes.
Wow, that's unfortunate. On her Vaultimate, nailed it. On her vault, now resets Quinn's basic attack timer upon landing. Valor to me fixed a bug where Harrier was occasionally not applied by Vault. Fixed an issue where Vault could sometimes move Quinn out of her basic attack range when cast on close range targets. That's terrible. I don't know how that happened. Vaulting off an enemy to pass through terrain is now easier. So,
Can I go first?
go, yeah, hit it.
In my opinion, and this was just my opinion, she will be a top 4 top laner next patch.
Really?
Yeah. She is one of the few champions that has a lot. She has the AoE vision thing. And so like when you're mildly good at the game, you can kind of sense when stuff's happening. And so you can use that. Don't have to ward as much. And there was the Vault Harrier thing was a huge bug and it was a huge problem. And if you can play her right, you can bully anyone out. Lysandra, you can bully Tree, you can bully Kennen, you can bully like
And we're saying a top laner. If you're confused, Quinn's not an ADC.
no,
But this is because why, Kyle?
because her ultimate is poop.
It is terrible.
And
In a team
you
fight,
basically forfeit positioning when you use her ultimate.
you forfeit being an AD carry. Therefore, she is not an AD carry.
Yes.
So, if they fixed her ultimate, I'd play her in bot lane a lot. But she's like, I don't think she's not fun to play. She just doesn't work. You get into a team fight and you're like, and nothing about me has changed at all. I can't do anything different. And then
You
you're
basically
like,
have to
I run
play.
away.
You have to feed off of people. Like the reason I say she's going to be a top 4 solo queue champion, like top
Yeah.
lane champion, is because it's very unorganized. But like if you get into a game where people group and like it's organized team fights and stuff like that, she's gonna still be a pooper.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But like if you can pick people off with your ultimate and then the E change, it's just gonna be, I am not gonna play top lane this next patch.
Probably Astute. Maybe we'll see Vayne counters. We might see a double AD comps with just ADCs in top lane trying to counter her.
Vayne doesn't even counter Quinn.
No, I'm
There's
saying,
no
I'm just saying
counter.
maybe she can farm and just kind of
Maybe
hang out.
Yorick.
Yeah, maybe. Next we have Rammus, Powerball, getting mana reduction. I'll take it. I think that's good. It was honestly cost too much, so. 110
Actually,
mana is insane.
I'm surprised at how little I've seen. I actually thought Rammus was going to be one of the people that benefited from the Cinder Hulk.
You know what I
like,
think?
most.
I agree, and you know what I think part of the problem was? I think it was this.
Just that he's mana inefficient.
Yeah, he's really mana inefficient in the jungle, and he clears it really slow. So yes, the Cinder Hulk helped him, but because he's trying to burn so much to get through the jungle, he was actually really slow at the new jungle, and it was really mana inefficient. And I played him a few times, and as long as he's got strong ganks, but if you can't gank because your lanes aren't in good positions, you just fell really far behind. So after the later part of this patch, this change and the last change, I think now he's more viable, like a lot more viable. It was bad, like really bad. So Ryze is next. This is what Ryze does every few months, is if he's not played, he gets his overload damage buffed, and then when he is overplayed, then they nerf his overload damage. So his Q is now buffed back up. Like 6 months ago it was buffed down. And then this is the only thing they changed on him recently, like a lot.
This buff isn't nearly what it was before, though.
I agree. It's not
I think it was.
quite. But
I think it's 15 more.
yeah.
So it's only like 15 different when at max level.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just some base damage. It helps him out in lane a little bit. Obviously. I don't know if we'll see him back in the top lane a ton. But we'll see.
Didn't they change his tank stats too?
They increased some ranges to make his stuff equal. I remember those changes.
Oh yeah, the Q got nerfed. The Q range got nerfed.
I thought the W got buffed.
I thought the Q got nerfed. Like when he was really, really good, they made his Q
That might have been a really long
the
time
same
ago. I
distance
think that
as
no.
his
I think
auto
it was a
attack.
lot further. No, I thought they brought his W range up to match his Q. I could
Then
be
why would
wrong.
it stop being played? Oh, because of the Q nerf.
Could,
Yeah, that could be right.
yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong.
Right,
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Rise has been buffed and nerfed so many times. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Next, though, is Segwagi,
The pig.
the pig. Her Frail of the Northern Winds is going to be getting a nerf as the game progresses with less target percent max damage, health, yada, 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 by 2% overall at the end. And then Glacial Prison. The slow is not 90%. It's only going to be a 30% slow. So make sure you land the stun.
Yeah.
A nerf to her, yes. Both of these. So bad that she's not playable? Not at all. I still think she's incredibly strong with the rest of her kit. And the 2% damage, like, who cares? Personally, like, that's not that huge. She just shouldn't be able to solo 80 carries.
Sejuani is just one of the, like, we talked about it at the last patch that we both thought that Sejuani was going to be like god tier jungler with Cinderhulk coming in,
And she is.
and she is. And the reason is because 80 carries can't kill her. You can't run like Vayne struggles early game. You can't run a Kog'Maw with the current meta of Graves and Lucian and people like that. So,
And
like, you just don't have what it takes to knock out Sejuani as an 80 carry, and she can just run through the team
yes,
and
and she has some of the
tank all
most
the
crowd
damage.
control too out of all the tanks.
Correct.
Which
Yeah.
is another reason why she's been so dominating. Is she locks down teams for a long time and slows them down and does a lot of damage. Like a lot of people were saying some stuff about Sejuani before the big changes to push to tank junglers, and even before some of those changes went through, we actually saw her a couple times in the LCS and in other places. Like, she's never actually been in a bad spot. They just couldn't find her fit the team comps quite right. And now because things are changing, she just basically found, they were like, oh, you were okay-ish but not played, to, well, this just helps you out a bunch, and you were the best of the worst at the time, so now you're perfect. So
Before she was, you couldn't find a spot in the team comp for her, and now she's just so OP. You make a spot for her.
Yeah.
You form team comps around her.
yeah.
And this is a step in the right direction. Although I don't like how one patch after they buff tank junglers, they're starting to nerf.
I agree.
Tank junglers.
It's annoying. I think that it's only on one though this patch, right?
Well, Cyan's actually been seeing some play in the jungle at
I don't think he's jungle,
at
though.
high elos.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think he should jungle personally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Next is Singed, his Fling. Interesting changes on this. So instead of it just being base flat damage plus ability power ratio, it's base flat damage ability power ratio. But the base damage, instead of being 80 to 260, is 50 to 110, plus 6 scaling up to 8% of target's maximum health. Which I actually think I like this change overall.
It'll be super good against tank junglers.
Exactly. It's going to help kill tanks. Which is really cool, in my opinion.
Well, I completely agree with
Although
everything
he
you
still
said,
doesn't
but like the fling, like, so you're thinking like Sejuani runs past your team, gets on your 80 carry, you fling her, do a whole bunch of damage to her, and now she's away from your 80 carry. So like he actually has a purpose besides running through everybody a whole bunch.
And if he does his mega adhesive correctly, doesn't it stun him onto
Yeah.
it? Or root him or whatever?
I've actually never seen
Somebody do that?
a Singed successfully do that.
I haven't either, but I haven't also seen anybody play Singed. Used to love Singed in Season 2. I played him so much.
That's because you could just go be in between turrets and
No, I never did that. I just killed everyone. Why stand in between turrets when you could just kill everyone? Next is Scion, his Decimating Smash. Damage to monsters is being decreased by 10%. This will hurt him in the jungle. And really everywhere, but not a huge issue in my opinion, but nonetheless it's there. And then his Roar of the Slayer pass-through damage bonus is going to be decreased by 20%. He's still a little bit of a bully. Like I said, the last nerf to him and stuff, I didn't think was like the world's biggest. I think this kind of helps put him in his place now a little bit more. Still definitely playable, because the rest of the way he works is great. Just follow the rule of, are you the only tank? Okay. Oh, do you have somebody who's kind of a tank on your team? Don't play Scion.
Yeah.
So
I thought that with this last patch that Scion was kind of falling off, and then they nerfed him again. So I expect him to still be played like situationally, like you say, like if the Tree's banned, if like Sejuani's banned if you have another tank on your team, so he's going to be like kind of like not a high priority pick,
Mm-hmm.
but more like a if this then that kind of a pick.
Yeah, which makes sense. That's how most champions should be. Cool. Next is Twitch, Deadly Venom. Damage per stack, instead of it 1 being up to 6, it's going to be 2 up to 6. And instead of levels 1 through 16, it's 1 through 17. Slightly different scaling. He gets a little bit more early.
Doesn't help him at all.
Doesn't really do too much in my... Yeah, doesn't really do too much.
Well, just it's not so much his fault. It's just that, like I said earlier, Graves, Lucian are two primary.
I actually think a lot of ADCs are strong right now. Like
Really?
Yeah, I do. I know. Yeah, I think actually ADCs might be one of the most balanced roles right now.
Well, like, I mean, like, if you're thinking LCS, yes, but like in solo queue, you can't run, like, in my opinion, you can't successfully run a Sivir or something like that because you're basically picking that for hard engages or hard disengages. And like I said, it's very sporadic fighting.
I do kind of agree with you, but I actually think she can crush lane.
Oh, I'm not saying she can't crush lane, but your effectiveness goes down dramatically because Sivir's not Vayne or not Kog'Maw or not even Graves in lane.
I think the only ones I wouldn't play in solo queue right now
is Twitch,
Kog'Maw, and Misfortune.
Ashe.
I actually think she's okay right now.
They need to change her passive, which I hear.
I do agree. I'm 100% on that, but I think the rest of her actually is okay right now.
I think they're changing her. I heard they're changing her passive, so
about
look
time.
forward
She's
to that.
not getting play.
Well, her passive is the worst passive in the game by a mile.
Yeah, it might be the worst. It's up there. Yeah, I'm trying to think. If you can think of a champion with a worse passive than Ashe, let us know in the comments below.
And we will tell you why you are wrong or right.
True.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing. No, that wasn't foreshadowing. Next is Viger. On his passive, actually, instead of 1% per 1% missing mana, it's actually 1.5% now and 1%, which is helpful.
Awesome.
Baleful Strike range is actually going to be increased by 100. It's a nice little change, actually. And then Event Horizon, enemy dashing through the horizon walls will now be stopped immediately, or stopped.
Because you would go to the end of your dash and then stop.
Yeah. So
and
that makes sense.
Viger's still not going to be any good.
I think this helps him though a little bit. You can't say these are all beneficial help.
Well, these are beneficial. These are really good buffs for him, but he's not going to be any good.
That's fine. He's never been that good.
Yeah. I don't know. He was good when the stun was automatic.
Yeah, but that was because it was a thresh box for a support, and that's just stupid for a support.
And like 10-second, 15-second cooldown.
Yeah, stupid. It's the same size. It looks the same. It's probably the same model, actually. Vel'Koz is next. Vel'Koz can now cancel his ult by taking Thresh's Lantern. Cool. What do you mean it is?
It's the same. You said it's the same.
It is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Thresh just comes out of the ground, and his just pops out of nowhere. Like, it's the exact same size.
It almost looks like it comes out of the ground now.
Yeah,
it like does that little like animation before.
No, it's the same thing. I think they realize. I think people are like, wait, why would I play Thresh if I could just drop that every 10 seconds? Yeah, it was stupid. Anyways, yeah, Vel'Koz, cool. He can take lanterns. Yorick now uses his critical strike animation when hitting people with Omen of War. The range also on that is being increased by 50. Interesting.
Which is a big deal because it's a melee attack.
Yes, it does help him land.
They're giving him the Nasus treatment.
They did to Mordekaiser too.
Yeah. Or no, Mordekaiser's actually who I was thinking of, but then they fix it for Nasus.
They may have a long time ago.
When he was big mode, he now gets more Q.
Pew pew. And then next is Ziggs. Bouncing Bomb. Mana.
Are you serious? Is this serious?
At later game. Yeah. Because the tank meta's back. Ziggs is coming back.
Oh my god, I fucking hate Ziggs.
I love Ziggs.
You like the Zig Zareth bullshit though. I hate those guys.
I like wave clear.
Well,
I'm so used to people being bad, and then I have to wave clear because the enemy team got Baron. Because after I said, I bet they're doing Baron.
I don't remember that ever happening.
Kyle, stop playing Vladimir.
Oh god, that was so painful. I don't know why I did that.
Next is Zillion, who's getting a zillion little changes. Nailed it. Health per level. 77 instead of 71. Time bombs, builder power ratio being increased by 1. Mana cost being decreased on all ranks besides level 1. Rewind, cooldown reduction at earlier ranks. Cost going down. Time warp, just 50 mana at all ranks instead of it scaling up. I like his changes. He still just doesn't feel viable. Hopefully these start to continue to help him feel that way.
6 health per level is a lot. You're talking a ruby crystal at level 18.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
free
helpful.
stats.
He needs that. If he's going to be a support and he can't focus his money on things, they need to fix some of these things to make him more rewarding to play. And I think some of these do help with that.
Do you max Q now because the mana went down, the ability power went up?
I don't know still. But here's the thing. Time Warp is 50 mana now. You can slow people for dirt cheap. Why not? Like, I still don't know what to max on him. I need to play him a little bit more with a good ADC. Kyle, play ADC for me.
Okay.
And I'll figure out Zillion. I still don't know where he fits, but I also still don't know what to buy on him as a support, like a full-on support now, instead of like, I am a support Zillion going full AP, because it was stupid previously. But it's
Freaking faker.
Sorry, I must fake when I have to. Yeah, I like the
Mass
changes.
texture
It'll be
rebounds.
good. Yeah, mass texture rebounds. Kale, Lee Sin, Pantheon, Rumble, and Rise. And I saw some of the changes on the Pantheon ones. They look good, so I'm assuming the other ones look good. Although people were angry about Kale because the black skin, or the black wings on... Is it Viridian? I don't know which kind
I
of
think
black
so.
wings. They took the black wings away and everybody was going to be angry.
So they put him back in.
Yeah, and the other one was Rise's tattoos are like all gone now because they thought it looked like clutter. But people also think he needs them because they look good. So we'll see if those come
They
back.
do
or
look
whatever.
good.
So we'll see. Item changes: Chalice of Harmony, 900 gold instead of 1,000. Overall cost is the same for the Athenes or the Mikhails, but a little bit cheaper early. I like the change actually a little bit. Makes it slightly more viable. Also a little bit easier to purchase early on. Because pretty much every other mid laner, AD or Morello, could get something for less than 1,000 going back, and you are screwed. So, good change for Chalice. And then Athene's actually is going to be getting more mana regeneration instead of 50%. It's 100%. And mana restore on killer assist is being increased also from 15 to 30%. This also now pushes it above Morello when it comes to just mana regeneration, which is what this item was for. And it was starting to become so close at one point between the two of them, it was like, why not just nom?
So Badger, let me tell you a story.
Okay, I'm ready.
They nerf Athene's Holy Grail, and they buff Morellonomicon. Then they nerf Morellonomicon, and they wonder why Athene's isn't being bought. It's because it's so shitty
It's because it's that bad.
that they didn't buy it, and now they're buffing Athene's. So now it's actually kind of a give and take, because if I saw a mid laner buy Athene's in the past, 5 patches, I'd have been like, what are you doing?
If the enemy team was mostly like all AP, because you got a little magic resist. But
Well, even if 25 magic resist is all it is.
I know
isn't
it's not a lot, but it does. It's just I know it's not a lot, but I think the big thing that Athenes took when it took that nerf hit back in the day was when they ripped all the AP out of it. Because you spent a lot of gold
isn't
for
it like
not a lot of
60
stats.
now?
Yeah, it's 60 right now. It's not good.
And Morellonomicon was 80.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
I don't
it's cheaper. It was cheaper, and it
It
gave
had
you
the
almost as
passive.
much regen, and it has
cooldown reduction.
yeah, they both do.
Well, I mean, like, they're very comparable, and now
The difference was, do you want to buy this for cheaper and have more AP, or do you want to spend more, get less AP, and just get more mana regen? And you're like, well, I was fine on my mana regen. I'm getting blue buff.
Now I think
Daisy.
now I think it actually makes sense. It's actually going to be if I'm going against an AP mid laner, I buy Athenes. If I'm going against an AD mid laner, I buy Morellonomicon.
Yes and no. I think the only other times you don't need Athenes is if you really don't murder mana with the champion you play. And Nam would be fine.
What, like, you're gonna have Ziggs, Xerath,
Yes, they should.
type
Yeah.
people in the mid lane right now,
Yeah.
especially Ziggs, because Riot just had to bring him back. Just left him where he's at.
He's fine.
I'm salty.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
I hate Ziggs.
He got nerfed really hard multiple times.
Oh, I know.
Righteous
That
Glory
was
fixed a
blood.
bug where you would get the active movement speed running towards turrets and capture points. So it had the, what do they call it, home runner? Or whatever that thing going on. Anyways.
Home God.
Home. No.
No.
What's the one on Omen? Omewrecker.
Home Wrecker.
Home runner, or what do they call it? When you run towards
whatever.
turrets? Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Sounds like it had that. Rift Scuttler. Vision radius is being massively decreased. That's a thing. Base
So wait,
gates.
what?
There's like a bug. There's an augment to be made that the shrine buff should be increased to 1350 to match the bugged vision or whatever. So the vision radius of it is decreased.
Oh, so it's correct now, or is it actually smaller?
I don't know. Fixed a
'Cause
bug
if it's
where
a-
Scuttler's vision radius was much
if
larger
it
than
if
the
it
speed
decreases
shrine.
by what is that, 70%?
I think the vision of it is being decreased by a lot. Yes. But I think the problem was it was because they don't want you to actually see much with it. They just want you to see like if a whole team walks over through, you know.
yeah, if a whole team walks into Baron Pit or Dragon
Yeah,
Pit,
Yeah. So
which that makes sense, but it was giving vision of the entrance to blue buff all the way to
the whole
the important camp.
all of the river.
Yes.
Base gates, you can now summon pets, structures, and minions in your team's base gates. Cool. Jungle XP. So, progression in the jungle, I actually think is where it should be-ish, but levels 1 through 4 are unchanged, but 5 through 7 you get 3% more experience, 8 through 10, 6% more experience, and 11 through 18, 10% more experience. So,
I actually really am concerned about this change
it's interesting.
because
I think I know why you're concerned.
when I play aggressive junglers like Lee Sin, like even Kha'Zix or like Jarvan or something, and you get like 3 early kills or something like that, you get ahead in level and then you stall out because the jungle's experience isn't nearly what the lane experience is. So you like basically had to continually gank to keep up. And now if you can get a little bit ahead, you can actually snowball it just by farming the jungle. And you can become that, level 15 to everybody else's level 12 shit that we had in season 4, which is the reason that they tried to change the jungle.
I agree. That's the part that concerns me as well. Although I already thought you
10%
could.
isn't a lot.
I already thought you
but-
could do that. That's also at a lot later levels, and you probably shouldn't be farming the jungle as hard.
Correct.
So, but yeah, I thought the jungle XP was actually okay with the last change. So this could be interesting. I don't know if farm heavy junglers are gonna benefit from this, like the ones who just seriously just farm. So we'll see. I want to keep an eye on that. I'm gonna keep an eye on that.
I actually don't like still that you can't take both buffs and be level 3.
Yeah,
That's
you
so
can. Oh,
chastity.
just the 2 buffs.
Just the 2 buffs.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Because like if you're playing like Lee Sin or something, you're gonna do your 2 buffs in a third camp to get 3, and you have to go back anyway.
You know what you should do? Can I rock your world here, Kyle?
Rocket.
Go take your first buff, then run out to the river and go kill the crab, and then go take your next buff.
That's what I do.
You'll be 3. But the crab doesn't fight you.
Oh, I
And it
know.
gives
I
you
understand
health.
that, but it really.
It is weird.
What I'm saying is you're going out of your way, either way.
I do agree.
If that makes sense.
You do.
So it's just like you're wasting time no matter where you go, and I guess that's probably how they wanted it to be.
I think they
Because-
didn't. I think they didn't want
because-
shenanigans like what you could do last season when
like the
go
level
watch my
3.
Shaco build and Shaco can take both camps at the same time and hit level 3.
Well, then
in
just nerf
20
Shaco's
seconds.
boxes.
No, I agree, but I don't think they want other shenanigans like that happening.
I don't like it, but at the same time I understand, because in season 4, if you were a top laner or like a bottom lane and you knew where the other jungler started, you could expect to gank at 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's like 3:15, and
Yeah.
so like I understand that. Now there's more variety in when you're gonna get ganked, but like
You might not get ganked at all for a while.
Yeah, I guess.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with you on that,
No, I'm just saying.
but it's
I
interesting.
understand why they did it. I just don't like it.
And I understand why they did it, and I think it's okay. Not great, but okay. So, yes.
Post beta updates.
Post beta updates. New champion select music has been added to Summoner's Rift. Cool. I've had mine turned off for years.
I have to.
Adjusted terrain detail in a number of locations. Cool. Beta has been removed from the Summoner's Rift Wrath name. The animated victory defeat screens have been deactivated while we resolve performance issues. Good, because I get bug splat every time I win the game. Which is every time. Nailed it. It's not true. It's
The
not
Summoner's
a
Rift does look a little bit better. Like, it's noticeable. It's not just like, oh, we, made this look a little, just evened out some trees. They actually did a good job. But yeah, I haven't had music turned on in my client for years.
Lobby members will now see player tooltips when hovering over suggested players. Cool.
What is that?
Player
Oh,
tooltips.
player
Bug
player
fixes.
tooltips.
Solved a crash issue with Windows 10. Technical preview. Vigerbot has an alertness queue. Mentioned in the last patch. Outer and inner turret damage versus minions now probably begins scaling at 9 minutes. And that's the end of the patch.
So no skins next patch, no new champion next patch.
Well, technically.
Why aren't they talking about? They didn't ever release Debonair Galio, and it's been in PvE for
I
like
think
2
they're
months.
fixing it. It's probably bugged. It has
It looks
been
like
in there for a while.
poop.
It also does look pretty bad. There is also that.
Yeah.
Next announced skins, or unannounced next skins are
Guardians of the Sands.
Guardian of the Skins Rammus,
Yes.
Archlight Vane, and Guardian of the Sands. Who?
I don't know. They did Arclight Bane, Guardians of the Sand, Rammus, or what?
Rammus,
Yeah.
Vane, and somebody else is getting the
They have
Guardians.
Rammus, Bane.
And then, of course, today we had the announcement for the new Teemo Legendary skin. Not
Xerath
Ultimate.
is the other one.
Oh, yes, Xerath. Yes.
And then Morgana's also getting a visual effect update.
Okay. And Teemo's getting a Legendary skin, but not Ultimate.
I fucking hate this game sometimes.
You love it.
I just hate it.
I'm going to play Teemo for you.
Alright, please don't.
Why? I'm good at Teemo.
If you lock a team off, AFK. Oh, well,
Future video on the channel is going to be a game where I play Teemo and I carry a 4v5 as Kyle is raging.
I'm not raging, I'm just AFK.
Well, you're raging somewhere else. AFK.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the patch notes for patch 5.6. Let us know what you liked about the patch or what you hated about the patch. Down below in the comments. Right?
Yes. I believe that's where they are down there.
Yeah, they are. That's where we keep them.
Oh, we should have done a shout out at the very beginning. If you don't want to watch a 45-minute video, go check out this video. And then it's going to be like your 1-minute video.
Yeah, go watch 1 minute patch notes. It's on the Curse channel. I cover the patch in 1 minute. It's not everything. It's fast. It's ridiculous.
It's the important stuff.
It's the important stuff, kind of, but super fast.
Yeah.
It's fun. People like it. Nailed it. But that's the patch. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see all of you guys later.
Later.